Come on, boys. Dig him up.
So what do you do?
I do Jeet Kune Do. Jeet Kune Do is scientific martial arts because all the JKD strikes are based on a lot of kids.
This guy, he's not just a great fighter. Did you know he's a Gorkha soldier?
You don't have to say that. I already Googled him.
Hello, and welcome to Viva La Action, the podcast where we're talking about all things action movies. The good, the bad, and the underrated. My name is Santi, and with me as always is my co-host. It's Brandon. Grayson.
Oh, what up? My name is now Brandon.
Your name is now Brandon.
Yeah.
That'll be relevant later, I think. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You?
I'm good. You've got a threatening-looking cold brew in front of you.
Yeah, I do.
Ordering that, I looked like a complete and total dumbass.
Why?
Well, because I couldn't remember what it was called. So then I went up to the counter and I just showed her a picture. I was like, "Can I get this?"
Nice.
And she was like, "Yeah."
Nice.
So that was fun for my morning.
Excellent.
I'm caffeinated.
I'm also caffeinated.
I'm rock hard.
Oh boy.
In my muscles.
There you go.
Not in my penis. But I should be, because we're talking about a real whammy today.
Ugh.
This is maybe the most excited I've ever been for an episode. At least since the first one. Mm-hmm. No, maybe since Mexican American, this is the most excited I've been. Because this is a real...
It's a doozy.
It's a doozy. We're in for a treat. Because this week we talked about Fight of Fury, which is a 2020 martial arts film written, produced, directed by, and starring a man named Shuny Bee. The film co-stars Brian Zampella, Basil Masters, Tatiana Figueiredo, and many of Shony's real-life students, which I didn't write down all of their names because most of them don't have an IMDb page. Shocker.
Yeah.
Much like our previous disaster piece, Mexican American. Fight of Fury does not have a critical or audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I fear we are two of only 5 people who have seen this film.
Yeah, and the other 3 are the producers.
That being said, it does carry a 3.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
That's generous.
It is very generous. The film technically passes the Bechdel test. So technically.
Yeah.
And we'll get into why. And finally, the synopsis from IMDb, which I'm surprised it has one at all. When the master of martial arts, ex-Gorkha soldier, uncovers widespread sex trafficking network in his own backyard in Los Angeles, with the help of runaway victims, he orchestrates a massive attack on the traffickers. Now, just to jump right in, I don't know if he orchestrates a massive attack on the traffickers or if he more stumbles into one. But we'll get into that when we talk about the plot. But before we get there, Grayson.
Oh, boy.
What do you think about this movie?
I didn't like it.
No.
Honest to God, right here, right now, on live television,
Yes.
I would rather watch Mexican American.
That is saying something.
Yeah.
That is saying something. I disagree. I think I like this a little bit better, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Damien Chapa is a lunatic.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, he's just straight up bonkers man.
He's a bonkers crazy man.
Yeah.
But I think Damien Chapa is a lunatic in the bad way.
Yeah.
Like, where he thinks like pedophile aliens run the world or whatever. Whereas Shuny Bee, to me, seems like a really delusional man who also seems like he's really nice and cool.
Yeah.
But maybe too much for his own good.
Yeah.
And when I watch Mexican American, I feel sadness
Yeah.
for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm watching this movie, even though it's categorically bad,
Yeah.
I feel a joy about the world. I feel joy about man's ability to completely overlook all negativity and to just embrace the world as you wish it to be.
Yeah. Embracing absurdity.
Just complete, like, because this movie doesn't make an ounce of sense.
No, it doesn't. I will say, so this isn't a comedy by any standards.
No.
I don't think there's even a single funny line. Like intentional funny line.
Right.
But I found myself laughing.
Yes.
So much at just like the dumbest things that they would say. Like it it feels like it was written by a middle schooler.
It does. Yes.
Like there was so like the one line, it was like fucking motherfucker. Like, bro, you don't like that's not.
I think I have
Nobody
that written down.
says that.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like they didn't know actually how to use like swear words.
No.
And so yeah, I found myself laughing a lot. Not because it was funny. I was just laughing at it.
Yes. I don't know. We don't really have to worry about spoiling it. I don't think.
No.
There's one thing I think you can spoil, and it comes at the very end.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise, I don't think we really have to worry about spoiling the movie too much. But
No.
in the interest of somebody not getting mad at us for spoiling the movie, before we do that, would you recommend somebody? Okay.
No. Maybe if you can watch this if you're going to make a drinking game out of it.
Sure.
Or if you want to inflict torture on your enemies.
Well, that's fair. I think if you are a fan of so bad it's good stuff, I think this is for you. Yeah. I think in the spirit of something like Samurai Cop or The Room or anything in that vein, I think you'll find some enjoyment out of this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would say maybe not, but I don't know, even if you're just curious about it, it's only an hour and 20.
It is. That is true.
It moves pretty quick.
It does.
Because I'll say one thing. Unlike Mexican American, this movie just gets going right away.
It does. That is the one thing is like it was like 100 miles an hour from the get go.
Oh yeah. We start at 11. We drop down to about a 2.
And
we
come
back to 11.
I know it. it was rough. Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way to recommend it, but like you said, if you are curious just about it, I guess
there's not too much time to be wasted. I mean, especially because I think about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes of it is actual martial arts.
And that's
saying something.
Yeah, it's not martial arts. It's it feels like flailing around. That kind of looks like martial arts.
Yeah.
So,
so just to frame this a little bit. So, the director, writer, producer, and actor of this movie. He's a man named Shuny Bee. He's originally from Nepal. And he emigrated to the United States. I can't remember the exact date, but it's been a while. He's been living in the U.S. for a long time. As you can tell from the sets on this film, he is a martial arts instructor. He has his own martial arts studio where he teaches Jeet Kune Do, Taekwondo. I think those are the only two. But anyway, he teaches mostly children. Yeah. But I looked on his website. He does have adult classes in case anyone's interested. And according to his own biography, now, I want to be clear. 90% of the stuff you read about him comes from him. So it's hard to trust how much is real.
Yeah.
There is some stuff you can back up. Like, he claims he's in a couple of movies. You can go find clips of him in those movies. Like, that's all whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as, like, what he says, I don't know how much you can trust, because I get the sense he's the kind of guy who kind of bigs his legacy up a little bit. But he claims that when he was growing up in Nepal, the government had this law that it was illegal for, like, common people to practice martial arts. So he claims that he got into martial arts, like, by reading books and, like, manuals and stuff. But then later he also claims that he got famous in Nepal for doing, like, martial arts demonstrations and stuff. So I don't know.
Sure.
Now, in this movie, he claims that his character used to be in the Nepalese army.
Yeah.
Because he calls himself a Gorkha soldier.
Yeah.
And the Gorkha, from what I understand, are like, they're kind of like the Navy SEALs of, like, the Nepal army. I can't find him being in the military in real life anywhere. Right. I think he just likes to think that he could have been in the military.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah. But he claims that he got into movies because a movie producer from India saw him doing a demonstration and was like, "You need to be in movies." And he was like, "You're right."
Yeah.
That being said, on his IMDb, it only lists one film that he was in from India.
Yeah.
On his YouTube channel, you can find a couple clips of him in, like... a couple clips. Grayson has their head in their hand. You can find a couple clips of him in, like, TV movies and stuff from India. So I think he had a little bit of a career there. He then moved to the U.S. and he hasn't really been in anything since, except for he has another movie that he wrote. He didn't direct it. It came out in 2012. It's called Gorkha Protector. And
all right,
this is going to blow your mind.
Okay. All right, bring it on.
Guess what the plot of that movie is.
He's a Gorkha and he's protecting something.
Yeah, but guess what he's combating?
Human traffickers.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Damn, there's a theme here.
Yeah, there seems to be a theme here. I don't know what he has against human... I mean, he has against what we all have against human traffickers.
It's horrible.
It is horrible. I like his... Although I like... Just to get into the movie. So anyway, he's a real interesting character. Yeah. It seems like he's got a lot of money that he made kind of independently doing martial arts instruction.
Then why was this movie so bad?
We'll talk about it. But, yeah, I mean, just seems like a real interesting character.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, I read some stuff on Reddit about him. Like, because I just was looking for anything I could find. And anecdotally, it sounds like he is a nice person, right? Like, he's never been in trouble for anything.
Yeah.
You know, that he runs kind of a family business, like his daughter, who's featured in this movie as his real life daughter.
Oh, shit.
She's, you know, she teaches some of the kids' classes. Like, his wife is heavily involved in the studio. And supposedly, like, you know, he's just nice to his students. I guess he's a real big fan of, like, you know, teaching kids that martial arts is a great way to exercise and it's good for you and whatever. He's just eccentric, which is like...
That's fine.
That's kind of what you want out of something like this. Like, you don't want to find out that they're a shithead. You want them to just be a weird eccentric, right? And
just a goofy guy.
Just a goofy guy. And I got to show you his Instagram page because...
Oh, boy.
It's the greatest joy. I was going to save this till later, but I need to show you this one photo. So a lot of his Instagram is just pictures like this, right? It's just him chilling.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no caption. Just him somewhere.
Just vibing.
Just vibing. You know, here's him in front of a giant teapot. That's a good one.
Okay. Oh, nice. All right.
Just seems like a regular dude.
He seems like a dad.
He does.
Like that photo that you just showed me, that's a dad photo.
He is dad cool. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Like the way he dresses in this movie, it's the way dads think cool people dress, right? He's got like a leather jacket.
Yep.
He's got like Ray-Ban sunglasses. At one point, he's got a shirt that is just like bright red and it says SMH on it.
Yep.
Which is, I wagered a bet that he doesn't know what that means.
Nope.
But just look at this photo. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Look at this.
fixing up my lower back.
So
Oh my god!
I
That's
encourage
incredible.
everyone go to his Instagram. It's Kick Films on Instagram.
Is that BEE?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he has a photo from October 17th, 2023. It's him lounging on a hospital bed in full gown and cap.
Yeah.
He looks like he's like inviting you into the boudoir.
Yeah.
And the caption says, "Fixing up my lower back."
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And I want everyone to go look at that.
It's incredible.
But anyway, yeah, he seems like a real character.
Yeah.
And this movie it's something, isn't it? It opens with him killing 100 men.
Yeah, it does. Well, and even before that, it has a dedication to Bruce Lee, which okay, yes, dedicating something to Bruce Lee.
That's
Great.
fantastic.
That is really good. Dedicating this
Yeah.
to Bruce Lee?
Yeah. Not only is it dedicated to Bruce Lee, the title is a ripoff of a Bruce Lee film. So
buddy.
Bruce Lee has a film called Fist of Fury.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And this is Fight of Fury.
Yeah. Okay.
You could argue it's an homage.
Yes.
Sure. Again, speaking about Shuny Bee and his YouTube channel, he has a side-by-side of Fist of Fury, and then he cuts in one of his fight scenes from Fight of Fury, which Shuny, dude,
My guy.
if you're trying to make your movie look good, don't compare it.
Yeah, don't, yeah, like, oh my god! It just even that title screen with the dedication looked rough.
It's scrunkly, yeah.
It looked like the opening slide to Bruce Lee's memorial.
Yes, it does. Well, okay, so it's the opening title it says "In memory of Bruce Lee" or dedicated to Bruce Lee or something like that. And it's got a picture that Shuny Bee clearly took on his iPhone of Bruce Lee's grave.
Yep.
It's like off center.
Yeah.
It's a little bit blurry.
Yeah. Black background.
Yeah.
White text on either side of the photo, and the photo is like just like a square.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks like how like a middle schooler would start like a slideshow, like a PowerPoint.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then it starts.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, don't dedicate this to Bruce Lee.
It's real. It's so the opening, I think, if it had been done well, is quite interesting.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's real weird. It's
rough.
We open on a woman and she is running
for her life.
She's being chased by human traffickers.
Yep.
Who in Shuny Bee's mind, every human trafficker dresses like they're in the Blues Brothers.
I was going to say the Secret Service.
They're all wearing black suits with white shirts and black ties. Yep. They range wildly in age and fitness level.
There was like one dude that was like, I don't know, almost 70.
He must have been, and he cannot run. He can't do anything.
Nope.
We'll get back to that.
Lord.
So this woman, she's running for her life, and it's intercut with Shuny Bee, who's his character's name in this is Brandon, which look,
buddy,
he does not look like a Brandon.
No,
and I think, in fact, I'd be willing to wager, I think he's named after Bruce Lee's son, Brandon Lee, because if his name is Brandon, and in this movie, it's kind of implied that his last name is Bee, so he'd be Brandon Bee.
Oh my god!
Which is that's something, isn't it? However, okay, to move ahead a little bit, later we see the inside of his office.
Oh god!
And he has not bothered to change the banner behind him.
Nope.
So it still says Shuny Bee Martial Arts.
Also, did you see the whiteboard in his like little dojo thing?
No.
In the back, it just says "Just do it" with the Nike thing.
Yeah,
just do it.
That's wonderful.
It was.
I think he was hoping for that sponsorship.
Probably.
But anyway, so we intercut with Shuny Bee teaching the self-defense class. One thing we have to mention: the entire film inexplicably, I don't know why he chose this. The whole thing is ADR'd. Like, overdubbed. I don't know why.
I was gonna ask, it like, when they started talking, I was like, is this dubbed? Mm-hmm. Is this just straight up dubbed?
The entire thing.
Because first of all, it was bad dubbing.
It's awful.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
I've seen anime with better dubbing.
Yes. Genuinely, it is atrocious. The worst one is the character who talks the most. And it's Shuny Bee. And it's like he's never encountered a microphone in his whole life.
I know. Well, and the thing with the voice acting, I guess we now have to call it.
Sure.
Is like, it's very clear. Now, obviously, like with voice acting, they do have the script in front of them because they can afford to, because they're in a studio. Mm. But when you're voice acting, you have to be doing that second part, which is acting. Yeah. They were just reading from the script like it was a fucking book.
Not only are they reading from the script, but they have to read it in a way that... Because what they're doing is called ADR. So if you don't know what ADR is, you or anybody listening, ADR stands for Automated Digital... Oh, no, wait. Yeah. Wait. Automated digital recording, right?
Yeah.
Basically what that means is, like, for instance, like, let's just pick a movie at random, right? Oppenheimer. Let's say when they're shooting Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy says a line, right? But they don't quite like his delivery, right? But they like the take. What they'll do is later on when they're editing the film, they get that take, they sit Cillian Murphy down in a room, they play the clip, and he tries to match up his
cadence.
Yeah, his cadence with the cadence that is on screen.
Gotcha.
But just in a better way, right? Or whatever. Mm-hmm. So clearly what they did in this movie was every single take was bad. Yeah. So they had each actor sit in a room and read the lines off the script, but try to match it to the pace, right?
Yeah.
So there's weird moments where somebody will say something, but then they have to wait until their character starts to talk again to finish the line.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, and then I was at the bathroom, right?
Yeah.
It's just like weird stuff like that. So, but also, the point of ADR most of the time is to get a clearer take, right? So you can understand and hear it better.
No.
For some reason, some of the actors sound like they're recording in a studio, and some, like Shuny Bee, who's the main actor in the movie, he sounds like he's recording in the fucking, like an opera hall or something, because it's so echoey. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
It was rough.
And he mumbles for a lot of it.
Yep.
And look, not his fault.
Nope.
He speaks the way he speaks, but he's got a real thick accent.
Yeah.
And you cannot understand a word he's saying the whole movie. I had the captions on.
Oh, same.
And it's like the automated YouTube ones. Yeah. So it doesn't always know what he's saying properly.
I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah.
And it did an okay job.
Yeah.
There was one part where where the audio was not synced up with the fucking...
I believe that. I believe that.
Actor. I was like watching it and like there was audio going.
Yeah.
And I was like watching the dude's mouth and like he would finish talking and the audio was still going. And I was like, oh, uh-oh.
It's kind of... A lot of it feels like that moment in Wayne's World where... they're talking in Cantonese.
Oh, yeah.
And Wayne says, like, two words in Cantonese, but then the captions keep going forever. That's what this movie feels like.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he's teaching a self-defense class.
Yes.
And the way that it's been ADR'd, they have all the... Because it's supposed to be like a women's self-defense course.
Yeah.
And all the women, they just sound like they're straight up moaning, which is real uncomfortable if people don't know what you're watching.
Yeah, there were so many moments in this movie that I was like, is this about to turn into a porno?
It feels very porn-like.
It was real bad.
The acting, the way it's shot, it all feels pornographic. But not in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a moment in that opening scene where he tells everybody, like, stop, like... You got to do whatever, and he mumbles some crap. And then he's like, let me demonstrate for you. And a cop comes over.
Oh my God, don't even get me fucking started.
And he like puts the cop in like a hold.
Yeah.
But then he does like a neck snap.
Yeah.
But they edit in the sound of a snap. So did he kill that guy?
That was my question. Also, that twisting bullshit he was doing, that doesn't do anything.
That doesn't do anything, no.
Right? So, okay, I don't know if you know this. I actually took jujitsu for a short period of time when I was younger, and the first thing they teach you is stuff like that.
Right.
Right. But yeah, that's like one of the first things they teach you is like putting, like twisting somebody's arm or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Real basic shit. He wasn't doing anything.
No.
It was just like he kept twisting the arm.
Yeah.
And the cop was just kind of like standing there letting it happen. And like, I'm like, buddy, use your other arm.
Yeah.
Because it was just like back here.
Yeah. And then he kills him.
And then then does he kill him? I don't know.
Well, he disappears, so I assume so.
It's
like a video game, like when you kill somebody and then they just fall on the floor and disappear
and despawn. Yeah. That was
it's pretty bad. And also, he cuts later and he's like, okay, everybody, good job, right?
Yeah.
But what the women are doing is just like sitting on top of them and like smacking the guy. And for some reason, he has all the attackers dressed in like face coverings and like beanies and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, I love this idea that Shuny Bee seems to have, which is that if a man is going to traffic you, he's going to be real obvious about it, right?
Yeah.
He's either wearing a business suit and he's looking real snappy, or he looks like he's a villain in like a PS2 game, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just wearing like a headscarf and a cap that says human trafficker on it.
Red outline.
Yeah, red outline.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we meet one of the other main characters of this movie. I don't know her name. I think it's Karen.
I think so.
I think her name is Karen. They say it like right. once.
Yeah.
And she's running from the human traffickers.
Yeah.
Now here's a plot point that sounds important and then turns out to not be important, which is that she has escaped from these human traffickers, right?
Yes.
Because she smashed a bottle over somebody's head and stole a USB stick, right?
I forgot about that.
Yes. It does not come back up.
No.
There's made mention of it.
Yep.
And then never happens again.
Right. Which is not the only time that there is just like something that happens and then never gets resolved.
Yeah, that happens frequently.
Yes.
So Karen happens to run into the alley where Shuny Bee's studio is, right? And he's like, hey, what's going on here, right?
Yeah.
And all the guys are like, she belongs to us, right? Which is some great voice acting.
It's terrible.
And he's like, nobody belongs to anybody, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is the first of a series of motifs in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is that Shuny Bee loves giving out a moral lesson, right?
Yeah.
He's going to stop, anytime you do anything, he's going to stop everything in its tracks and he's going to give you a lesson, right? Mm-hmm. This is his first one, which is nobody belongs to anybody, right? It's like, hell yeah.
Right on.
Right on. And he then proceeds to beat up 100 men.
I know. Well, they kept coming. And what got me, and this happened consistently, they would be like filming a fight scene and then all of a sudden like hard cut and like people have teleported.
They do teleport, yes.
And I was like, what the fuck? It was jarring.
Yeah.
There were so many times, and like not even like during fight scenes, like somebody would be like looking one direction and it would cut and they were like in a completely different thing, looking at a completely different. And I was like, who edited this?
Yeah.
Because they did a bad job.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So that fight scene is actually how I found this movie. So I was on TikTok and all I got out of context was just a clip of that fight. And there is, like you said, there's a part in that where he's fighting a guy and he like has a guy on one side of him and then a guy on the other. Yeah. And then he like flings one and then he just disappears. Like it cuts and that guy is gone.
Yep. And then all of a sudden they're in the hallway.
Yeah, and then they're in the hallway. And then like everyone's on the floor and then it cuts and everyone's back up. And then like it's amazing.
Yeah. There was a moment where like he like is standing one way and then for whatever reason it cuts.
Yeah.
They didn't need to cut.
No.
And he's in a different stance and the guy that he had just beat up is also lying differently on the ground.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't get it.
I don't know what happened. But I guess the guys eventually get tired of getting back. Oh no, they're interrupted by a cop, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because there's police arrive.
Yes.
We then get an insert shot of what is clearly Shuny Bee filming a real crime scene from like far away.
Yeah.
Because it's real blurry and at night. And you just see like a cop roll by and it's all but it's clearly in a different place.
Oh yeah.
And then it cuts back to the inside of the studio and everyone's gone. It's just Shuny and Karen.
Yep.
He then takes her back into his office.
Yep.
And there's a very weird scene. Just
it's very
every
strange.
time those two are together, it's so strange.
It is uncomfortable.
It feels real gross and weird.
Yeah.
And she's like telling him what happened, and he's like, oh, okay, like whatever. And then she's like, I need to call my dad. And he's like, okay, but I'm gonna drive you home. And I'm like, that's a weird thing to tell someone.
Yep, that's
But she's
weird.
like, okay. Then for some reason they have to go to his car to call her dad.
Yeah.
She calls her dad, and he's like, "Oh my God, Karen, I'm so..." and whatever. And his voice acting is atrocious.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's really bad.
Also, I didn't like the way that dude looked.
No, he looks like Martin Sheen, but in a bad way.
But somebody like vacuum sucked him.
Yes, yeah.
the vacuum sealing.
Yeah.
That's what they did to that guy.
That guy gets fucked later.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's very funny.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Well, anyway, Shuny Bee brings Karen back home. I'm just gonna call him Shuny Bee. His name's Brandon, but it doesn't matter.
Whatever.
People love to call him Brandon. I think he likes that name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Well, then we meet. So there's like 4 villains, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like the main boss and then a bunch of mini bosses.
Yeah. Well, there's the really annoying villain, and his name's like Chris.
Which that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Then there's Brutal, which he's like an MMA fighter promoter guy. And then there's another guy who's like Brutal's business partner, but also the dad of Chris.
Yeah.
And then there's like some woman who like kind of just shows up at the end.
Yeah.
Also we get the scene of Karen getting trafficked.
Oh, yes.
Which is the funniest, like unintentionally the funniest, weirdest scene in the movie. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of weird scenes, but
yeah.
So basically, Karen's like, I just graduated college and I'm hanging out with my homies, right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if she had just graduated college, that makes her like 22. Yeah. And Shuny Bee in real life is like 60 plus. And it's kind of implied that they have like a thing going on. Yeah. Gross. Real gross, Shuny. Yucky. Anyway, so she's hanging out with the girls, right?
Yeah.
And they're out to dinner, right?
Yeah.
There is no one in the restaurant.
Nope.
But them and the human traffickers.
Yep.
And there's a line where she goes, hey, do you guys see that guy looking at us?
Yep.
And one of the girls is like, who? What guy is looking at us? The only other guy in the restaurant.
Giving you the death glare.
And he's like,
he's all grimy. And then the worst part about that was that he like sits down. He's like, y'all want to party? And they fully allow him to just drug them.
Yeah. They're just cool with it.
Yeah.
They're just like, because he's like, this will turn the party up. Here you go, some for you. Drink. And they don't seem to notice that he doesn't put any in his own drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he's like, all right, drink up. Oh, are you feeling a little faint?
Yeah. Wash it down.
Wash it down.
When that scene started, right? The women are talking.
Yeah.
And we don't hear the sleazebag say anything.
Right.
The moment he opens his mouth, first of all, was not expecting that sound to come out of him. It sounded like a weasel. Yeah. It sounded just like a high-pitched, weaselly, sort of nasally thing. Yeah. I didn't like it. No. And I was like, I want him to stop talking.
Yes. Instantly.
Forever.
Instantly.
Please. And then, I was like watching them get drugged. And I was like, you just graduated college.
Yeah.
Did you not learn any critical thinking?
But this is what I mean.
Oh my God.
In Shuny Bee's world, not getting human trafficked is the easiest thing in the world. It's just like, just watch out for a man in a tank top who tries to give you ecstasy or whatever it is. Just, whatever.
Yeah.
And avoid large groups of men in suits. Like, just, that's it. And you'll be fine.
And you'll be good.
So then Shuny Bee goes home and we meet his daughter.
Yeah.
Her name is Maya, I think.
Probably.
But he calls her Dots.
Yeah.
Which, to me, sounds like a nickname of daughter. Like, he took daughter, like dot, and then dots. Like, so he's like, I don't know. It doesn't mean anything. It's just...
He started calling her that, and I was like, what does that mean? We never figure out how she got that nickname, and it doesn't make any sense. And I was like, just...
Yeah. Also, his daughter talks like no kid has ever talked ever.
No.
Like, he comes home and he's like, "Hey, Dot, sorry I was out late. I was saving a lady from being human trafficked." And she's like, "No, don't worry, Dad. I miss my dead mom."
Yep.
She just jumped straight into it, and he's like, "Yeah, I miss her too, right?"
Yep.
Well, then he goes back to his own room, and he lays down on the bed.
God. The way he gets on his bed.
I thought he was going to jerk it. Like, the way he, he lays down and he's just and then he starts fantasizing. Which, by the way, so he has a flashback of, him and his wife. The woman playing his wife is also way younger than him. But it's supposed to be like, this is when we were, in college or whatever.
Right.
He's the same age.
It doesn't change at all.
I don't know if he just thinks that he looks like a college-age person.
Yeah.
Or if he just didn't bother casting somebody to play a young version of him.
Yeah.
But then he has a flashback within a flashback.
Oh, yeah.
Where then he's by himself.
Yeah.
And he's, looking out at, the wilderness. And he's like, I miss you, my wife, and whatever. And then it cuts back to him on the bed again. And again, looks like he's just been jerking it. It's just the way he's positioned. Yeah. I don't know if I just have a dirty mind.
I mean, it makes sense. What got me about that, I didn't go there. Mm-hmm. It just the way he got on the bed took me by such surprise that I couldn't think of anything else except that way. He got on it like a child.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Right? And part of that was because I think the bed was a little too high.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the only way he could without looking like a toddler.
Yes. Yeah.
So he had to get on it like a child.
Yes. He does. He's very short. He's like 5'3".
Yeah.
Which is fine. You're allowed to be short.
Right. Get a bed that's for you.
Yeah, he does. He kind of hops onto it. He looks like a
he
a
does
kid.
A spin.
Yeah, it's very funny. There's a few moments where he does a combat roll when he does not need to.
When the first time he trains Karen.
Oh yes, we're getting to that.
Yeah.
No. It's you could say.
Well, yeah. He they finish up the whatever, and then he just does a somersault and sits down, and I'm like he seems like the kind of guy. He's that kid at your school that has been taking a martial arts class for I don't know 3 weeks, and he thinks he's the coolest kid ever.
Yeah.
Because he'll just do the stupidest little roll, and he's like, "Yeah, I learned that in my martial arts class," and I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
He's cool. I like him.
It just because he got that smug look on his face, and I was like, I can do that.
He spends a lot of this movie trying really hard to convince you he's cool. And it's sometimes it's a bit much, but I don't know. It's kind of endearing. I kind of like it.
There were some moments, I will say, that I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But other times I was like,
yeah. Now, after the initial fight scene, we enter the middle of the movie, which is mostly nothing.
Yeah.
Which, this movie's already not long. It's only an hour 20.
Yeah.
I don't know why they thought they had to also pad it out with just a lot of scenes of nothing going on.
Yeah.
But, so, we get, an introduction to all the villains. There's Brutal and Chris and his dad. They all have their own little quirks and stuff.
Yeah.
We get this weird montage of, the trafficked women being sent out to be prostitutes.
Oh, yeah.
And there's there's like an initial little scene, and then there's a longer one later. But they reuse 2 shots in it. So there's a scene where all the girls are on an escalator and they're coming down.
Yeah.
They use the beginning of that in the first montage.
Yeah.
And then there's a scene where a car takes off and like all the girls get in the car and then the car takes off.
Yeah.
They use that shot again later in the next montage.
That's right, they do.
Which is, again, it's not neither here nor there. It's just something to point out.
Yeah.
But then we get a scene where Maya is in school.
Yeah.
And you can see that she's getting harassed in math class.
Yeah.
Which is clearly not a classroom. It's like the back of like a church or something.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
You use what you got to use, you know. Then Maya is like hanging out after school and she's like in a park.
Yeah.
And he sneaks up on her in like the creepiest way that he possibly could.
Yep.
Like he's like leering behind her and then he like gets her and she's like, "Oh, Dad."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Ha, I got you."
Yeah. It was weird.
And then he takes her to ice cream, right?
Oh my God.
And there's a very funny line where he's like, "What kind of?" Because they're talking like two people never talk. They're like, "Oh yeah, hey, we're gonna go get ice cream," and he's like, "What kind of ice cream do you want?" She's like, "I want Oreos, cookies, and cream." And he's all, "What's wrong with mango? You don't like mango? You fucking idiot!"
Yeah, I was like, "Bitch, you asked her what she wanted."
Yeah, and he's like,
"Where did the mango come from?"
I know. He's like, "What's wrong with mango? You don't like mango?"
That's the worst.
So then they go into Baskin Robbins, right?
Yeah.
Which is just clearly Baskin Robbins. They don't even try to hide it.
No.
And there's a guy behind the counter.
He was the worst actor.
He's really bad. But here's the thing. Here's my little theory. I think the guy who is doing the acting and the guy who does the voice work are 2 different guys.
Oh, yeah.
Because the guy who overdubs him has the worst, most stereotypical Indian accent.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it because it's not cool.
No.
But it's really bad.
It's so bad.
It's very funny. And the guy looks like he was just working there.
Yeah.
And they like ambushed him. And they're like, "Hey, we're filming this movie." And he's like, "Okay."
They were like, "We'll offer you like $100 if you just film." And he's to me, he seemed like super excited because he was like, "I get to be in a movie."
Right, yeah.
And they're paying me $100.
Yeah.
It's like, buddy.
Also, this whole scene is superfluous. It does not need to be in here.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
But it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So anyway, they order their ice cream, and she's like, "I want Oreos, cookies, and cream," which, again, nobody talks like that, but whatever. And then there's a real blurry shot of the guy scooping the ice cream, and it's clear that, like, somebody's leaning over the counter.
I was about to say, the angle is weird.
Yeah. Well, because he was probably like, "Hey, can we get back there to shoot?" Whatever, and the guy was probably like, no. I can't let you back here."
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And then
so they had to lean over the fucking thing. Yeah.
Anyway, they just happened to run into some of Maya's friends, right? And he's like, "Hey, can you give Maya a ride home?" She's like, "Yeah, sure, I'd be glad to do that." And he's like, "Okay, Maya, you're gonna ride home with Jasmine. See you later."
Yeah.
I'm like, you just took her to get ice cream just to leave her there?
Like that's, oh my god.
It's a very bizarre.
Parenting 101.
Yeah. It's just, it's he's like, "Hey, we're going to go get ice cream. By the way, fuck you, I'm leaving."
Yeah. Also, I don't think he eats his ice cream.
No.
Because he like gets handed his like cone and then it cuts and it's nowhere to be found.
Well, he's like holding it real daintily. And he like, you never see him lick it or anything. No. But then he just leaves with it. But then it's gone later.
Yeah.
So I imagine as soon as the hit cut, he just like threw it in a,
he
ditch
doesn't
or
like
whatever.
mango.
Yeah. What's wrong with mango? You don't like mango?
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
We then get the scene of him training Karen.
Yeah. It's weirdly sexual.
It is weirdly sexual and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There's a very weird shot where he's like got her pinned. Yeah. And it's like from underneath. Yeah. It's like a boob shot. It's just like real weird.
Yeah. It's.
And then there's like this. So he's like, you did a really good job today, right? Yeah. And then there's this very strange, very gratuitous insert shot of his bicep. And it's real sweaty. Yeah. He is drenched this whole movie. and
Sopping
he
wet.
is sopping wet. And then there's like, so every time that they have like a little love interaction, there's like this guitar music that plays over the top.
Yeah, it was so strange.
Just so you know, you
yeah.
know. And he's like, do you want some water? And she's like, yeah, I'll take some water. He then goes and gets the water, comes back. They open the water bottles and cut all that out, Shoney. We don't need to see any of that.
Nope.
You don't need, in fact, you don't have to go get water.
No.
You can cut the scene right there because none of the rest of it matters. Then they go back into his office.
Yeah.
And she invites him to dinner.
Yeah.
Right? And then he also takes a weird call from a guy who's like, hi, I'm going to be at a big martial arts tournament. Would you be willing to train me? And he's like, yeah, our office is over here on this street and this street. Which, if you look it up, that's just where
it is.
It is. So I think that was supposed to be like a weird ad in the middle. And then the guy's like, oh, sweet, yeah. And then there's a weird insert shot of that guy riding an exercise bike.
Yeah. And in the office, Karen is sitting on a black leather couch.
Yes.
And all I could think about was that couch. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was kind of framed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like that.
Here's the thing, Shoney, if you're listening, and I know you are.
Yeah.
Because I know Damien listened to our Mexican American episode.
Yeah.
If you're going to tell a story about human trafficking, which, let's be frank, is a very sensitive topic.
It's real touchy.
Maybe don't insinuate that your character is now creeping on a woman you just saved from human trafficking. Like that she should be so grateful that she should then be willing to hang out with you and fall in love with you.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing to put in your movie, Shoney.
Very strange.
Very strange. I'd like to think you don't understand the insinuation you're making.
And the implication,
But, for the sequel, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe just leave all that out.
Yeah.
In fact, you can cut Karen out completely. And I think the movie will be the same.
Yeah. Yep.
We then get a scene where he goes to dinner, which is very fun. I love the outfit that he's wearing. Which is just a t-shirt and then a yellow and black jacket.
It was very ostentatious. Does that work?
Yeah.
Is that a good? Yeah.
Eccentric.
It is.
It's cool, man.
It's real cool.
Hell yeah, brother.
Right on. It was a choice.
It is a choice. He's got some great shades on.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to do too much of this because this could get tedious, but he's at dinner for all of 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he shows up, there's food on the table, which he clearly has not eaten any of.
And then he just dips.
Yeah, and then he just dips. He's like, sorry, I got to go do something.
Yeah.
Apparently what he has to do is go home, which is fine. I'm like that. I'll be like, oh, I got to go do something, and then I just go home.
Yeah. Big mood.
Yeah. Also, her dad, again, if you want to insinuate there's a love interest between these two.
Yeah.
He's the same age as her dad.
Yeah.
When you look at them next to each other, you're like they're in the same age group.
Yeah. He doesn't seem worried about that at all. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
He gives another speech at dinner.
He does. He does.
Which I can't remember any of.
It was.
Also, I think the dad's name is Van Damme. They never say it. I mean, they do say it. I couldn't understand it, but I think his name is Van Damme.
Yeah, probably.
Which is great.
Sure.
I think that's cool. It's completely pointless.
Yeah. Doesn't mean anything.
There's another weird scene where he gets home. His daughter has found a Great Dane somewhere.
I was not expecting that.
No.
Because he gets home and she's like, I got a surprise for you. And he's like, okay. And she's like, close your eyes. Don't open them until I tell you to. And I was like, what the fuck does she, what surprise could she possibly have?
Yeah.
She opens the door and in comes fucking Scooby-Doo. And I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Also, the dog shows up.
Yeah.
She's like, can we keep it? Mm-hmm. And he's like, probably belongs to somebody. They're probably looking for it. He can stay the night, but then, we got to take it to whatever.
Yeah.
Which, fair. Mm-hmm. And then the dog never comes up again.
Yeah. No. Well, no. Because she has a dream about the dog.
Yep. Which, I don't know why, but...
who knows? But also, did you notice, so the dog is even overdubbed.
Yes.
With dog noises.
Yes.
I would be willing to bet $1,000 that is Shuny Bee making those dog noises.
Yeah.
Because it's like...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was like, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's so bad.
It's wonderful, but it's bad.
It's bad.
Maya gets into a fight at school.
Yep. Beats up some kids, which good on her.
Yeah, I mean, which is granted, but then he shows up to the school and he's like, Maya, you can't be beating up kids because your hands are registered as weapons and whatever.
You are a weapon yourself.
Yeah. And then he's like, now get back to class. And then the principal's like, you're the best dad I've ever seen in my life. You're doing a great job. And he's like, and then he gives another speech about, raising kids and being cool.
Yeah.
And the teacher's like, are you single? Whatever.
I want to jump you.
I want to jump you. I just love you. You're a great guy.
Yeah.
I'm the only other actor in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she gets kidnapped.
She does get kidnapped. So here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
He goes to the school.
Yeah.
To meet his daughter.
Yeah.
He then leaves school.
Yeah.
He goes back to his studio.
Yeah.
Runs into Karen because she's like, hey, we were going to train today. And he's like, I got to pick up Maya. And she's like, I'll drive. And he's like, okay. In the time it takes him to leave the school, go to the studio, come back,
she has been kidnapped.
So that means that he left like around the time she was probably getting ready to go out of school.
Yeah.
So he should have just stayed.
Yeah.
But regardless.
Yeah.
She then gets kidnapped after she beats up 4 old men by herself.
Which, impressive.
Very impressive. They kidnap his daughter. He then shows up and he's like, where's my daughter? She's gone. Where'd she go?
Yep.
Right? And then he gets a phone call from Brutal.
Yeah.
Who's like, hey, I've got your daughter. Like, if you want to whatever, you got to come get it. And he's like, damn it, my daughter's kidnapped, right?
Yeah.
And you'd think from this point forward, it's about him getting his daughter back.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
For a good chunk of this movie.
It's like the last third.
Yeah, it really is.
He beats people up.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, because there's also a weird series of scenes where we see Chris. I think his name's Chris. He goes to Brutal's martial arts studio.
Yeah, which I don't know if you noticed.
Yes.
But the set for that.
Yeah.
The walls.
Yeah.
Those were just crash mats.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was like, you couldn't find another room.
No.
To film this in.
No, absolutely not.
It was. And there was just like a single rug.
Yeah. A
desk.
Mm-hmm.
And a couch.
Yes.
And that was it. And then just crash mats.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was terrible.
Yeah, it's really awful. So I have questions about Brutals. So those are all his like students, I assume.
Sure. His Goonies.
They're all women MMA fighters, right? There's a very gratuitous scene where 2 of them have a little fight.
Yeah.
But then later he's in a room with them all. And he's like, here's my plan. He's like, we're going to do women's fighting championship. And one of the girls is like, people will pay to see 2 women roll around.
Yeah.
Women's MMA already exists.
Yeah.
Not only does it already exist, it's been around for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Does Shuny Bee just not know that?
I guess not.
I guess not.
Also, the funniest part about that was like one of the women was like, and especially when it goes wild.
Yeah.
I was like,
are you talking about porn?
Are you just going to film women? Are you just going to make porn? Is that what you're doing here?
Shuny, people do that already.
Yeah. Both MMA and porn.
Yeah. They make MMA porn. You can look this up.
Yeah.
Shuny. I don't think he's ever Googled.
I don't know if he knows what Google is.
No, in fact, I think if you look at his website, it has not been updated since like the 90s.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't know about internet porn.
Yeah.
But
maybe he only uses like Bing.
He might.
He's like the one person that uses Bing.
One guy left using Bing. Well, there's also a funny scene. So when Maya is getting kidnapped, one of the goons opens the door to his van.
Yeah.
Which is just like it's just a minivan.
Yeah, it's like a Chrysler.
You can see in the door, he's got stuffed like a bunch of papers and like a map, like an old school like almanac. And I'm like, take that out, Shuny. just clean your setup. Like, what are you doing? There's so many little things where you're like, what are you doing? Just take that out.
Just get rid of it.
What is that doing in the shot? Like, get that out of the shot.
I was constantly looking for the cameraman.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he had to have fucked up somewhere.
Well, there is a scene where Brandon and Maya are in the car together. And he's having a flashback to his wife. And you can see the cameraman in the reflection of the car, like very clearly, because he's moving around.
Yeah,
and you can see his reflection moving around. It's very distracting.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another weird scene where Brandon is hanging out with Karen at the it's at the Griffith Observatory in L.A. They're up there, and he's wearing a shirt, and it's the brightest blue and red shirt. It says USA on it.
Yeah.
And he has a flashback to his wife, right? And she's like, hey, by the way, I'm pregnant. And he's like, what? Like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It then cuts back. He is barreling the camera, like looking straight at it. Yeah. And he's like, and then my wife was taken into human trafficking and killed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do anything because I was in the army at the time. And I'm like, you don't want to show us that?
Yeah.
Like, you're just going to tell us?
Yep.
There's another, like, scene earlier than that when Karen gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
She's like, there's a shot of her running in the dark, but she's telling us how she hit the guy over the head with a bottle.
Yeah.
And there's, like, a sound effect of it. But it's like, just show us that. Yeah, then you don't have to tell us.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It's bizarre.
Also, all the way back when she first meets him, she says, I must have been running for hundreds of miles. No, the fuck you have not. No, you have not.
No.
All right? I know people who have run like ultra marathons and 100 miles. Yeah. Right? 100-mile like marathons. Do you know how fucking long that takes and like the toll it takes on the body and the training you have to do?
Yeah.
You know the fuck you did not run hundreds of miles.
Not only that, but I don't know how, like, because when you first see her, she's running, and it is clearly like downtown LA.
Yeah.
And it's like, instead of running into the suburbs where Shuny Bee's studio is, how come you didn't just turn into any one of the businesses that are in downtown LA and be like, hi, call the cops. Please, a group of men is chasing me. Like, I don't know. Anyway. There's a weird scene on top of the Griffith Observatory where there's also a very funny shot where there's like two men trying to hide behind one of those like binocular machine things. Yeah. And they're like, there he is, let's get him. And then they run to their car. Anyway, all this is to say, Maya gets kidnapped. Yep. Right? He doesn't do anything about it for a little bit. There's a scene where, I don't understand the timeline of events. He's hanging out with Karen in her car. Yeah. He then apparently leaves because then he goes to her house and her dad is getting out of the car. And he's like, hey, is Karen here? I'm here to see Karen. And he's like, no, I haven't seen her. And then he's all, watch out. And fucking her dad, Van Damme, gets knifed, stabbed, and fucking died.
What's funny about it is that she really doesn't seem too broken up about it.
No, she really doesn't. She's not bothered by it. Because, like, you see him laying on the ground, which Shuny Bee out just leaves him there. Yeah. He's like, oh no, he's been stabbed. And then he runs to catch the guy with the knives.
He says, somebody call 911 to nobody.
No one's around. Yeah, it's like, you have a cell phone. You could do it.
Yeah, dumbass.
Yeah, no, he just leaves him to bleed out. And then he chases a guy who's got two kakuri knives.
Yep.
He gets one of them away from him. Yeah. They then have a really awful sword fight.
It's terrible.
It's really bad.
He does the like Ahsoka reverse grip.
Yeah.
Which in Star Wars kind of works.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of martial artists on TikTok talk about like a reverse grip like that, or people who like use swords, right? They're trained to use like swords like that.
Yeah.
And they say that grip is bullshit.
Yeah.
It doesn't,
No.
like, there's no, it's really hard to like block because when it hits, your wrist is just going to do this.
Yeah.
Right? There's no strength there.
Yeah.
And it's just an awkward thing, and you got to like really bring your arm over. Don't use that grip.
No.
It's stupid.
Well, that scene too is completely superfluous.
Right.
Because he doesn't even get the guy.
No.
Because the guy runs away.
Yeah.
And then Shuny Bee is stopped by a train.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a very funny scene, or there's a funny shot where the guy is like running, and he's like chasing after him. But then there's this real wide shot of Shuny Bee running, and it's very apparent how tall he is and how slow he's running. And it is comedic.
It's very funny.
Yeah, and then it just cuts. Well, there's an establishing shot of a hospital.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then cuts, and Karen and Shuny are going inside.
Yeah.
And he's like, or she says, I don't know why they had to kill him. I'm like, he died? Fucking died?
Yeah. Apparently.
She's not affected. Like,
no.
That's the only implication you get, that she's like, well, I don't know why they had to kill my dad. Anyway, at least I'm hanging out with Brandon. And she like stitches him up, right?
Yeah.
Oh. I forgot to mention this earlier. This movie blatantly and flagrantly steals music, right?
Oh, yeah.
There is a scene early in the movie where we're first meeting all the villains. The song being played is straight up from The Dark Knight. Like, not even like, like sounds like it is from that soundtrack. And then there's another one later that is from the same movie. Like, just, he stole two songs from The Dark Knight, and no one has noticed.
It's so funny.
And you might be like, hey, Creative Commons, like,
You're right.
You can buy this movie on Amazon.
Yeah.
He's making money from this. I don't know how he got away with it.
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
He can do whatever he wants.
Whatever he wants, I guess. Maybe he's friends with Chris Nolan.
Maybe.
He was like, hey, can I borrow this? And Christopher Nolan was like, you're the coolest man I've ever met. Of course you can.
Yeah, and that was it. The rest is history. Well, yeah, and then we find out that Karen, apparently, went to nursing school.
Yeah, we just throw that in there.
Yeah, which we did, like, you would think that gets thrown in earlier.
Yeah.
Right? No. Just, she went to college for what? Whatever.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it doesn't matter. None of the plot matters, but.
Yeah.
So then, I'm trying to remember. So, anyway, Karen stitches him up.
Yeah. Poorly, I might add.
Poorly. Some more bullshit happens.
Yeah. That doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter, but we get to a point where Shuny has found one of the headquarters of one of the evil guys.
Yeah.
And he has to fight his way through a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And
with a single nunchuck.
He
doesn't have two.
No.
Just the one.
Just the one. And each of these men has a different weapon. Once again, they're at varying levels of fitness and age. He fights one guy who's like 100 years old.
Yeah. Also, there's a lot of this.
Yeah, there's a lot of him just swinging the nunchucks, then like not doing anything. And it's really awful. Like it's
really bad.
It is hard to understate. Because here's what's frustrating about it. There are moments where he, I think, accidentally shoots part of a good fight. Right? Like some of the choreography will be pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's shot from a wide shot. And it looks okay.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to him missing a dude by a mile. And the guy underselling the hit.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how he's managed to do both.
Yep.
And again,
it's fascinating.
It looks like it was edited by a chimpanzee. Like just
the weirdest cuts.
The weirdest cuts. The sequences don't make any sense.
The continuity is all over the place.
Like, I think he literally forgot the order in which the fight is supposed to take place. Because he'll fight 4 men, and then 3 men, and then 5, and then 2 again. And it's like, men will be seemingly murdered and then get back up.
Oh my god.
And in case you're wondering if he's against killing, he certainly is not, because he murders a bunch of them. And then a bunch of bullshit happens.
Yeah.
And possibly the greatest moment of the film is that it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yep.
We get
With
no
a freeze frame.
resolution on a freeze frame.
Yep.
And in case you're wondering, there is no sequel.
Yep. I was so mad because here's how the last scene goes.
Yeah.
He's on the phone with Brutal.
Yes.
And he says, I just killed your homie.
Uh-huh.
Brutal's like, fight me, bitch. and then he like hangs up the phone. He then screams.
Yeah.
Just primal screams.
Yeah.
Runs, jumps, kicks, freeze frame, credits.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
I was so angry.
Yep.
The instant that happened, I texted you.
Yep.
I texted you. What did I say? In all caps, I said, it's no longer... Oh, wait. Oh, no, there it is. In all caps, I said, that was it? We don't even know if he gets his daughter back? Bro, this movie sucks. And then you took a screenshot.
I
which,
did.
Understandable.
Yes. It sucks.
It sucks.
Like there is no resolution to anything.
Right.
He doesn't get his daughter back. We don't know what the deal is with the USB that was mentioned one time. We don't. Apparently, Karen's dad fucking dies.
Yep.
There's nothing. There's no resolution.
No. And
we don't know if Brutal managed to start women's fighting championship.
I was so mad.
We don't know what happened to the guy at Baskin Robbins. We don't know if that kid that Maya put in the ER turned out okay.
Oh yeah, Maya fucking...
She breaks a dude's arm or some shit. Because they're like, one of the kids was in the urgent care. I'm like,
the
damn.
ICU.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I know. She's like, it cuts the kid's on life support.
You broke his arm, but he also is dying.
Yeah.
So
you kicked a tumor. You kicked him so hard he got cancer.
I just...
It's amazing.
It's awful.
It is awful.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I don't think Shuny Bee understands how a story works.
No.
Right? Because he had the first part, right?
Yes.
The exposition.
Yes.
Right? All of that. You have a rising action. We get to a climax.
Yes.
We don't even quite get to the climax.
No.
We're still in the rising action.
Yes.
And then the movie just ends.
Yes. Yeah.
You got to have a climax, falling action, resolution.
Yes.
That's how you tell a story. That's story 101. You learn that shit in middle school.
It's supposed to be, but not the Shuny way.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Not the B-Kick Films way.
No. It's exposition, rising action, end.
Yeah, basically. And see, so here's the thing too, right? I went into this because I had seen you're looking at it right now.
Yeah.
I had seen poster art for a second one. So I thought, oh, okay, there's two of them.
Yeah.
Like, maybe this one wraps up and then we finish. I did not know that the second one had not been made yet, right? So this movie, it was made in 2020. It came out in 2021, I think.
That's wild.
It is wild. It looks like it was shot in 1990 on a digital camera.
Yeah.
But the second one has not come out yet. So I thought maybe they're in the process of it, right?
Yeah.
They've apparently it has been shot because you can look on his Instagram and here's the poster for Fight of Fury 2, Retaliation, and you can take a look at that.
That is the worst poster I've really ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, that is some of the jankiest, Photoshop. To save women from human trafficking, he would risk it all.
What's he got left to risk?
Also, I love the caption.
Yeah.
not on the like the actual Instagram post, but on the poster
Yeah.
that he's like edited on there. It just says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Movie will be released 2024.
Yeah. No
nothing.
no date.
Nope.
Just
Nope.
2024.
2024 eventually.
So keep your eyes peeled. It's going to be released this year for sure.
Yep. And then and then in the actual caption,
Yeah.
it just says it again. Merry Christmas from cast and crew, Fight of Fury 2. But there's no space between Fury and 2. He forgot to put the space.
Fight of Fury 2.
And yeah. I'll forgive him for the grammar.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because, English is not his first language. And English grammar is just the absolute worst.
Yeah.
So, but put a space there.
Yeah. There's also a woman on this poster wearing the strangest dress I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like cut out in the middle, but like not quite the middle.
Yeah.
Like her belly button is way at the bottom of the dress.
Yep.
So I don't know what's going on there.
That's a strange. It's just a strange poster.
It is a strange poster. Here he is hanging out at a skate park. And the caption, life.
So true, King.
So true.
Life.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey, and if you've gotten this far into the episode, you have to know that it doesn't resolve.
Yeah.
It just
ends.
It just ends
on a freeze frame.
On a freeze frame. Now here's the other thing too, right? When I was looking into this movie, I was looking into the second one. They had done like a fundraising campaign for the second one.
Yeah.
This is so sad. It wasn't on GoFundMe. It was on some other website.
Yeah.
Their goal was $1,000.
Oh God.
Guess how many dollars they raised?
How many?
500.
Oh,
which is really unfortunate.
That sucks.
But again, to be fair, I think when they were running the campaign for the second one, the first one hadn't quite like reached the cult status that it's heading towards.
Yeah.
So I can understand, but it does seem like he's self-funding it.
Yeah.
So I kind of forgive like that, it's taken a while for the second one to come out. But Shuny, if you're listening, put it out there.
Yeah.
I will watch
Please.
it. I promise you I'll watch it.
I like when it ended, all I saw was just white hot rage.
Yeah.
I was so angry.
Which, if you think about it, is the mark of a brilliant filmmaker.
True.
He's made you invested in watching another one.
Yeah, and I don't like the movie.
No,
but I was so angry with how it ended.
Yeah, it's so
which makes me even more angry that I'm angry about it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. This is a fascinating man.
I think you could study this. I think this should be studied in film courses.
Yes. Yeah.
As just like not even just in film courses. I think this should be scientifically studied.
Yes.
By like psychologists.
Yes.
Because I think we could learn a lot.
Yeah.
I think it would really advance psychology. Because it is fascinating. It is mind-blowingly strange.
I just think he just strikes me as somebody who just does not have a sense of who he is. Right.
No.
In the sense that like he does not perceive himself in the way that other people do.
Right.
He thinks he's super cool.
Yes.
Right? Which in a way I admire.
Yes.
Because if I could go through life with just this firm sense that I'm the sickest dude to ever walk the earth.
Right.
I think I'd be a different kind of person.
Yeah.
Right?
I do admire his just unabashed, unbridled confidence in himself.
Exactly.
I wish I had that.
And let me just say this too, right? I admire the fact that this is a man who went, I cannot be in a Hollywood movie, or they won't cast me in a Hollywood movie, so I'm going to make my own movie with my own money the way I want to make it, right? And I respect the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
Because that is so fucking... That is... I mean, again, this is a polished turd, right? It's like... It is not good.
No.
But fuck, man, he made it, didn't he?
He sure did.
He put his. You can tell.
He created.
Yes.
It. Did he make it well? No.
No.
Not by any sort of standard.
No.
I don't think there's really any metric that you can use to
measure it.
Sure. Thinking about this movie makes my brain hurt.
Yeah. I love it.
And I'll forget about it for a second, and then I'll remember, and my brain short circuits, and I have to do like a hard reset.
Yeah.
And then I'll forget about it, and then I'll remember it, and then I got it, and it's like this horribly vicious loop of like forgetting it exists, and then remembering it exists, remembering that I spent like an hour and 20 minutes of my life watching this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to feel.
We've now spent, I think, we've now spent about the length of the movie talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's something.
It is something. It is something. It is something.
Yeah. But much like we did with Mexican American, I just want to take a moment. I want to talk directly to Shuny.
Yep.
These are just my pieces of advice.
Yeah.
As somebody who's, not that I'm the expert or anything, but I've seen plenty of movies.
Yep.
Which, based on this movie, I don't know if Shuny Bee has seen too many movies.
I think what happened is he was in a couple of movies.
Yeah.
And then he went, I got this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
I got it.
I know what I'm doing.
I get it.
He does not get it.
Here's my piece of advice.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to Mexican American, but in a different vein, which is that the visuals, like, don't matter so much. Like,
right.
The movie doesn't have to look amazing.
No.
However, it should look like something. And if you're gonna shoot martial arts, it's pretty important to at least have somebody next to you who is aware of like the sequence of events.
Yes.
So that when you're putting it together, you can go, oh wait, I can't kick that guy because I just kicked him 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And he should be on the floor.
Yes.
Right?
Storyboarding.
Just storyboard it out.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say is that if you want to do a really cool fight scene, maybe cast somebody under the age of 65. And I don't mean this in a, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make yourself look impressive, maybe fight somebody who looks...
Your own age.
Yeah. Young, virile,
not an old guy.
Fit. Yeah, not a man who looks like Tommy Wiseau in a suit.
Where if you just look at him wrong, he'll crumple.
A couple of these guys look like a stiff breeze would take them out. And I don't know if that's really... And the other thing is, I just want to say, maybe find a different plot that doesn't revolve around human trafficking.
It's a really touchy
weird
subject
that you keep coming back to this, Shuny. And I would like to know what's up with that.
Yeah. Like, yes, we should talk about it. It is a horrible, terrible thing. But you gotta be really, really careful.
You gotta be careful, and I just don't know if you understand what it is.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah.
Because he seems to think it's like, you take a woman... And you're like, haha, you're my woman. And then they're like, okay,
all right,
I guess I'm a prostitute now.
It's not.
It's just a very weirdly.
It's
It's
strange. And please hire an editor. Who has editing experience.
Yes.
Because a lot of those cuts were jarring. It seemed like you took like two different takes and then stitched them together really poorly.
Yeah.
And what you should have done is just another take.
Right. Well, and
if you want to like cut stuff together, it needs to be just a little bit smoother.
Yeah, and I would also say, unless you're shooting this on your iPhone, you're probably using a camera. And the camera that you're using most likely has a little port on it that you can plug a microphone into.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And you should probably just use a microphone when you're shooting it.
Yeah.
As opposed to shooting it however you shot it and then ADRing the whole thing later.
Yeah. Or You can also, if you want to get a little fancy, just mic people up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how much like a body pack is, but like you can get like a couple of body packs.
Yeah.
And then for like, you know, the not so important characters, you use the mic on the fucking thing. Use microphones.
Use some microphones.
And then in post, if you find that I didn't really like that take and we don't have the time to go back and do it, then you can do like an ADR thing or a dub or whatever. But just make sure, like, get somebody who understands the basics of voice acting.
Yes.
Because you shouldn't just be reading from the script.
No.
Like a book.
Yeah. And trim the fat, dude.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, there's a lot of scenes in this movie that you could do without.
Honestly, if you trim the fat on this movie, could be a tight 45.
This would be a tight 10.
True.
Well, because here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
If you were to cut all the superfluous scenes, right?
Yeah.
Cut the scene of him going to dinner. Cut the scene of him picking up his daughter just to drop her off again.
Yeah.
Cut all the weird flashbacks and
ice
him
cream.
barreling the camera and all that. Cut all that out. You could have made Fight of Fury 1 through 6, and
it would have been the same length.
It would have all been the same movie.
Yeah.
And we would have been a lot happier.
Yeah, we would have gotten an ending.
Yeah. So just in the future, you can cut all that stuff out. We don't need that.
Yeah. If you want, hire us.
Yeah, I'll write a script for you.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. I don't want. I don't want that responsibility.
Yeah. And I don't want to do anything either.
Yeah, but let me just also say thank you for making this.
Yes, it was.
I had a great time.
It was an experience.
It is.
I don't know if I'm better or worse for having this experience.
I'm better. I feel better.
I am indifferent.
That's okay.
We'll say. Well, I'm indifferent.
That's okay. But this was fun.
Yeah.
This is maybe the most fun I've had.
Yeah.
In a long time.
Yeah.
Watching a YouTube film.
Yeah.
Which, let me just say, too, you can watch this movie on YouTube.
Yep.
You can watch it on Amazon Prime. And you can watch it on Tubi.
Yep.
And it's all the same.
So I watch it on Tubi.
Yeah.
And I get ads in it.
Yeah.
I'd gotten up to go into the kitchen to grab something.
Yeah.
And it was like during an ad break.
Yeah.
And so I was like just kind of listening to that because first of all, I hate ads. If you run an ad in the middle of my thing, I no longer like your product and I think it sucks and you should burn in hell.
Correct.
I was hearing the ad and then the ad like stopped and went back to the movie.
Yeah.
But I thought it was still an ad. And I was like, oh, it's still an ad, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I like heard something and I was like, wait a minute. And I looked and it was the movie and I was like, ooh, well, that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Also, one thing people I've seen on YouTube comment on that when he's fighting, he makes a lot of noises.
It's the same noise.
It is the same noise. It's like the same 2 or 3 sound bites that he just mixes in.
Yeah.
They're goofy, but they are in the tradition of martial arts movies. Yes. So to me, I'm like, I don't really care about it. It's no less goofy than anything else in the movie.
Right.
So it's really not a big deal, but
no. Maybe switch it up.
Yeah, just I have a couple more noises.
Yeah, because it got kind of a little grating to hear the same ones over and over and over again. It's like a broken record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the noises were rough. It just all sound effects and music were rough.
It was scrunkly. Yeah. It was scrunkly as hell.
Like you were talking about in the first opening scene with all the women, they were just moaning.
Yeah, they're just going
yeah. And I was like, this is making me uncomfortable. Yeah. Because it's not how anybody sounds like. The music was bad.
Yes.
There was no, I'm not going to say no. There was hardly any like fading and like going into another.
No.
And it was all, or mostly all, just like, it was like one soundtrack and it would cut and immediately into the next one. And I was like, we got to transition, my guy.
It is also mixed really poorly.
Oh, yeah.
There are moments where the music is so loud,
Yep.
you cannot hear what people are saying.
Nope.
You can't hear what people are saying
Anyway, the music just makes it worse.
It makes it way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a lot of issues.
And I do like using motifs, right?
Yeah.
Using the same thing for different feelings or whatever. Make it less obvious.
Yeah.
Because again, it was jarring to go from one sound to the next that quickly.
Yes.
And you can kind of play around with it, right?
Yeah.
You can change the key, you can change the tempo or whatever, or you can kind of like mix in a motif into a different sound, and it adds a whole new level and layer of feeling. Don't just have like one thing and then you cut to the next thing and then you cut and it's like you gotta it's gotta be fluid.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
This was great. I had a good time.
I had a time.
You had a time.
Yeah.
Which means it is the time that we bring the hammer down.
Yep.
And we have to rate this movie. What would you rate it out of 10 old men in a black suit who traffic women? Wow, really?
0.
Grayson's giving me the goose egg.
Big old goose egg.
Really? Interesting.
I really, really did not like this movie.
You hated it.
Yeah, from the moment I woke up this morning as I was walking my dog, I was racking my brain to find any sort of redeeming quality or anything good I could say about it.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't.
That's fair.
Could not find a single moment in the movie where I was like, that was good.
That's fair.
I did really try in this entire time as we were talking, right, going back over the movie, going by the scenes. I really tried because I wanted to give it a chance, and I couldn't. I could not find a single redeeming quality.
Well, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
If you're going to go 0 out of 10.
Yes.
Your lowest rated film
Yes.
so far,
Yeah.
I believe, was Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yes.
Would you rather watch this or Paul Blart Mall Cop?
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Really?
Yes.
Gun to your head.
Gun to my head.
Gun to your balls.
I would rather, because at least Paul Blart was I'm not gonna say concise. it was made well.
Yeah.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Right, like I could tell that the actors were acting. I could tell, right, the editing was good.
Yeah.
The dialogue, the lines were okay.
Production wise, it is competent.
It is competent. There's not so many like jarring cuts. You can kind of follow what is happening, and there is a clear, defined beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
You can follow it. It makes sense. It makes relative sense.
Yeah.
And there's not really many surprises.
That's true.
Like weird surprises.
Yeah.
This movie just I couldn't do it.
No, that's fair.
I could not. I think the biggest thing for me was the writing was just not good.
Yeah.
The dialogue just did not seem natural.
No.
It was very prop and again I want to emphasize, I know that English was not his first language,
right,
and it's really, really hard when it's not your first language to like write a whole script for a movie.
Yeah.
That's why you should get an editor.
Yes.
To help edit your script and have it be somebody who English is their first language,
right,
to help really iron it out. Because I think if if there had been an editor for the script and the dialogue had been a little bit more natural, I think I would have given this like at least a 1.
Yeah.
Or maybe even a little lower, but I just couldn't.
Okay. We've made history today.
Yep.
First 0 on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not going to give it a 0.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 2.
Okay.
Because I would rather watch this than watch Mexican American.
Fair.
And I would rather watch this than watch Paul Blart.
Okay.
But it is not as competently made as something like Ballistic, which even though Ballistic is boring, it is made well.
Yes.
And that is to say, you can tell it was made by a crew of filmmakers.
Yes.
Whereas this looks like it was made by
like a high schooler.
Yeah, by Shuny Bee. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it was made by the guy that made it.
Yeah.
But I can't give it a 0 because I do find it endearing.
Yes.
And I admire people who try something like this. Right? Like, at the end of the day, it is scrunkly and bad and just not well made.
Yeah.
But god damn it, he tried, didn't he?
He really, and I do agree with you. I do, like, strongly agree that, like, he did try. It is really nerve-wracking and anxiety-inducing to make something and then put it out for an audience.
I don't think he had any anxiety about it.
Probably not. But, you know, it's still kind of a scary thing to, like, make a thing and you're like, man, I'm really proud of this and I hope people like it.
Right.
You know, we're both, you know, art majors.
Sure.
You film, me theater.
And Tarzan, me Jane.
Right. Anytime I would do, like, light design for a show, I was always like, man, I hope I did a good job.
Yeah.
And so I will commend him for making a thing and putting it out there.
Yeah.
That's a really hard thing to do. And anybody who does any amount of that, of making art and putting it out for people to see, props to you. I don't care how bad it is, props to you.
Yeah.
If you have the resources, however, utilize them.
Yes.
Like, get an editor, not just for the script, but also for, like, editing the actual movie.
Yeah.
Get, like, somebody who knows how to operate a camera properly. Get a good sound guy. If you want to direct it, by all means, right? Yeah. Everybody's got to start somewhere. But maybe consult somebody who's directed before and get, like, tips and pointers and, you know, be like, hey, did I do this correctly? Or, like, how would you have done this?
Right.
Consult people, because the movie world is huge and there's bound to be somebody that is willing to help you.
Right.
Make this a really, really solid movie.
Well, and the thing is too, right? The thing is, right, and I'm going to say the same thing that I said for Mexican American, which is that while I do admire his tenacity, the reason I'm okay critiquing and making fun of it is because if you have been on a film set and you have worked in films, as he claims to have done, you should know better.
Yes.
And be able to do better.
Right.
And it is all well and good to try something and do something. That being said, if you put something out in the world, people are going to critique it.
Yes.
And it is your responsibility to either take that criticism on board or not. Right? Mm-hmm. And again, it doesn't seem to me like Shuny Bee really cares what we think.
No.
Which is fine.
No. Yeah.
I don't know why he would.
Right.
He seems like he's got plenty of money.
We're just a couple of dumbasses out in New Mexico.
I'm a big dumb.
Yo, it's big same. Yeah.
So that's neither here nor there. It's just... Yeah, I can't give it a high rating, even though I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think it is fun to watch.
Yep.
I don't think he should keep doing this.
Yeah. Or if he does want to keep doing it, because I will always back making art. I think art is how we move forward as a society.
Yeah. Did you get trapped? Sorry, everybody. My dog is having some issues.
He's trying to look for the brain cell.
Yeah. Here, come here.
He lost it.
There you go.
There it is. Maybe. Like I said, I will always advocate for making art. I think it's we should always be making art, and we shouldn't restrict it.
Yeah.
But I would say take some classes.
Yeah.
Right? Go you don't have to do a full 4-year film school thing.
Right.
Just, take film 101.
Yeah.
Right? At your local college, maybe take one other class like filmography or whatever to learn how to use a camera, take a directing class, and look back on the experiences you've had and be like, so what did they do in making this movie that I was in?
Right.
And again, talk with people in the community.
Yeah.
There's going to be somebody that does want to help you.
Yeah.
And step back, learn movie making, take some classes, talk with people in the community, and then go again.
Yeah. I agree.
Obviously, I will say, this is probably a good movie to learn mistakes from. Be like,
Yeah.
what did I do wrong? What did I do right? And then making another one, use what you learned in that first one and fix them in the second one.
Absolutely.
I will say, I think when the second one comes out, I think we should watch it.
We will.
Because even though I gave this a 0,
mm-hmm.
I want to know how it ends. I think that's the other part that really just, I could not give it any higher than a 0, was that it just ended.
Yeah. That is frustrating.
I was, like I said, I saw white hot rage.
Yeah.
And it just bugged the hell out of me.
Yeah, because when you invest your time in something like this, you think well, at least it's going to pay off.
Right.
And then for it to just not even end is crazy.
Yeah. And I think part of it, had I known there was a second one, I might have been a little bit more okay with it ending where it did.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, oh, okay, there's going to be a second one. They're probably going to wrap it up in the second one. Because I didn't know there was a second one, I was like, why would you just end it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think even still, though, where they ended it was not great.
No, it's like you said, it ends in the middle of the rising action.
Yeah. Because he never even fights Brutal.
No, he doesn't.
Which is what I was hoping for. I was hoping for this big fight between him and Brutal.
That being said, I would be willing to bet that I don't know what the production's going to be like on the second one.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet so much money that the actors are all going to change.
100%.
I don't have any reason to believe that.
Yeah.
It's just that based on the way he's made the first one.
Yeah.
I bet you Karen's not even going to be in it.
Nope.
And I think Brutal's going to be a different actor.
Yep. All the original cast will be like, we don't want to do a second one.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got to move on.
Yeah.
Because we got to get on with our lives.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie's broken my brain a little bit.
It baffles me to my core.
It should. It's what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
But now that we're here, we have no more brains.
Nope.
What should the good people on the internet do to help bring our brains back?
Give us 5 stars.
Yes.
5 stars. Give us a like on YouTube.
Yes.
Comment. Subscribe. Interact. Press all of the buttons.
Press all the buttons at the same time.
If you can do that, I will be very impressed.
Yeah.
You can shoot us an email, vivalaaction@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
We got all the socials. We got Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
Yes.
Viva La Action at all of those places.
Absolutely.
And we got a little survey.
We do.
Where you can submit a little recommendation.
Suggestion.
Yeah. for a movie that you think would be fun to hear us talk about.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be good, obviously, because
Yeah.
we talk about some of the most atrocious films imaginable.
Yes.
If it's the more ridiculous, the better, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
If you can break our brains, you did a good job.
You did do a good job.
We also do like good movies, though, as well.
Yes.
So if you got a good movie recommendation that you're like, this is a cinematic masterpiece and you have to watch it and talk about it, send it our way.
Absolutely.
If it's underrated, something nobody's ever heard of,
Even better.
send it our way.
Yep. Do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Send us an email to vivalaaction@gmail.com.
Even if you just want to say, hey, we'll chat with you.
Say hey, confuse us.
Yep. Send us a weird question.
A weird question. Harass us to watch a movie that I've repeatedly told you we're not going to cover on the podcast.
Yeah. And that is the thing. If you do give us a recommendation, this is an action.
It has to be an action movie.
Yeah, this is an action podcast.
We are not going to cover a movie that is not an action movie.
Yeah.
You know who you are. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Action.
Yes.
No rom-coms.
No
comedies.
No straight dramas.
Right. We got away with Paul Blart because there was action. Because there was action.
I think the people who made Paul Blart got away with Paul Blart. But
Yeah. Which they shouldn't have.
no. The closest we've ever come was when we watched Fat Man. But to be
Yes.
fair, we didn't really know what we were getting into.
No. There was still technically action in that.
Yes.
But it was more delved into like the drama.
This is the point of the podcast. Is it's supposed to just be action movies.
Yeah, there has to be action.
Yes.
Whether it be car chase, kung fu, martial arts, just straight up boxing,
Yes.
right?
Anyway, I had
so-
beef with this one particular person.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No hate to that person.
No hate to him.
But
I think he's confused, but you know what?
Action.
Action. Just action movies.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's how we do it. Just Google action movie.
Yeah, Google action movie
And
and see what comes up.
yeah.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good.
Right. So anyway.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
You'll find Grayson floating on top of a cold brew coffee.
Yep.
And you'll find me wearing a flower crown,
Yeah.
running through the streets,
Naked.
yelling about Fight of Fury.
Yep.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks.
We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
This is the after the episode bit,
The post-credit scene.
the post-credit scene. I think we need to cleanse our souls,
Yes.
cleanse the universe, the aura.
Yeah.
So next week, I think we need to watch a movie that I think could be considered. What's the word I'm looking for? Like the opposite of this movie.
Okay.
But what's the word I'm looking for? Antecedent to this movie,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I want to watch a low budget
Okay.
martial arts film
Okay.
that is good.
Okay.
Because we watched one that is bad.
Bad. Yes.
So I want to watch this movie. It's called Ong Bak. It's from 2003, I want to say. So it's spelled...
Hold on.
Okay.
Stand by. Okay.
So
Hold on. All right, go for it.
okay, it's spelled ONG-BAK.
B-A-K.
Ong Bak.
Ong Bak. You said 2000...
Let me look it up.
Okay.
It is from Thailand.
Okay.
Oops. Oh my god. Ong. Oh my god. I cannot spell. I just spelled Omg.
OMG.
Yeah, okay. It's called Ong Bak, Muay Thai Warrior.
Oh, okay. Hold on. M-U-A... Wait.
Yeah, so it's M-U-A-Y
M-U-A-Y...
Thai, so T-H-I
Yep.
A-I, Warrior.
Warrior.
and it is from 2003.
Okay, all right.
It is directed by...
And when do I need to watch this?
it's directed... Okay, don't worry about who it's directed by. You'll find it.
Yeah.
It's just a long name.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's a Thai film.
Yeah.
It is the first film in the breakout role of Tony Jaa, who is he's a Thai martial artist.
Okay.
Most recently starred in The Expendables 4, which is where some people may know him from. But anyway, we will watch this 2 weeks from now.
So so I need to watch it the 17th.
Yes.
Because we're recording the 18th.
Correct.
Okay. 17th. Done. Save.
Anyway.
Nailed it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Excellent.
Frenetic, low budget,
Excellent.
killer.
Right on. Never heard of it.
Never heard of it, which is good.
Yep.
I
You
think it's good.
underrated?
I would think so. I think in martial arts circles it's well known, but otherwise your average person probably hasn't seen it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we'll check that out.
All right.
And then we'll see what we see.
Yeah.
After that.
So yeah, I'm ready.
We have to get this taste out of our mouth.
Yeah. And if you've made it this far in the podcast, watch along with us.
Yeah, watch along with us. I think you can find it on Tubi.
Okay. There you go. Tubi, Ongbok.
Tubi seems to be where I find a lot of my movies these days.
That's fair. That's fair. They seem to have an extensive collection.
They do. They got a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for listening.
Yep.
Bye.
Adios.